motorcycle enthusiasts, Jedz here, and today we're on part 4 of our FZ6 $1,500 budget bike build-up. Now we're actually going to make some headway today on the bike itself. Today we're going to do a tune-up on the Yamaha FZ6. So this video is going to be great for those of you that aren't really necessarily watching the build, but just want to know how to do a general tune-up on your FZ6. This is something you should probably do annually, no matter what. Doing radiator fluid is a biannual or every 2 years kind of task. So today we're going to do the oil change, filter change the spark plugs, which requires us to take the radiator off, and also do coolant change. So we're going to do oil, coolant, filter, plugs today. Should be kind of a cool project. And also, we got the battery in. We got the battery in for the FZ6, so we're going to be able to try it out and make sure it starts and runs and everything. Because that's one thing that's really important, guys, when you do these kind of services, is you need to have the bike running, especially when you're filling up the radiator. You know, you want to make sure that the pump is moving so you don't get air pockets and you can cause overheating, which could be a bad thing. So we're going to get started on this project. Super fun. This is something that you should do basically every year. You should definitely change your plugs at least once a year. If you're riding like as much as I do, at least 20,000 miles a year or more. But you know, you should do your plugs maybe every couple of years when you do your coolant on these kind of motorcycles. I've seen guys run these bikes for several years and not change the coolant, and boy oh boy, the stuff that comes out of it, ugh, not good. So I hope this is an informative video, and I really appreciate those that have been following along on the build so far. This one's going to be a good one, and we're going to have fun today. So thanks again for tuning in, and let's get into this little 600cc motor. All right, let's get into Jedz mode here. All right, so obviously the first thing we've got to do here is we've got to drain the fluids. We're going to attack the spark plugs first, and then we can work with the oil after. Just don't want to do both things at once because you're going to need to use the drain pan for oil 1 minute and then coolant. So when doing the coolant, it's pretty easy here, guys. To drain your coolant and remove the radiator, you got a couple of hoses here. You got your main primary hose. This is your water pump right here. So what we're going to do is we're not going to open this up, but obviously your water pump is the lowest part of your cooling system. So you're going to want to drain it from the lowest point. You've got two inlet, you got an inlet pipe and an outlet pipe. Got a couple of hose clamps here. These guys are actually not Phillips head screwdrivers. This is a special kind of tool. This is called a JIS driver. It's actually Japanese industry standard. That's why it's called JIS mesh. So anyways, JIS driver, you need one of these if you're going to work on Japanese bikes. So we're going to drain it. Oh, we got red coolant. Your radiator cap, which is red. Red coolant, not good. And also, okay, so the radiator is now disconnected. Got a 10 mil there, and a 10 mil right here. Those guys need to come out, and then the radiator should come out. All right. And then this is a pin on this side, so the radiator will slide out. There's a little pin in a bushing, and it slides right out. And then you're like, oh, it's floating, what's going on? Well, you've got the radiator here. Don't have any tension on that wire. So just kind of loop it around here. And there you go. She's loose, wire's not taut. And yeah. So we don't lose track of what coil is which. We're going to do one plug at a time. This one's obviously going to be your trickiest one. As you can see, there's this kind of uneven mounting point here. So you're going to use, for your tool, a 5/8 spark plug socket. It's got a little rubber bushing inside of it. That's to grab the porcelain or the insulator on the plug, and it holds it like so. And you pull it out. And these little FZ6s have a really unique kind of spark plugs. It's twin spark. It's very interesting. Usually it's just one crack, and they get real loose, and they're easy to pull out. And there it is. So we're looking oily. Well, it's not bad. It's pretty good until you get to them. They're about snug. Tighten and then go a quarter of a turn. Nice and loose. All right. Tight and then quarter. Maybe a half. Feels good. That's where you want it. Then you got to break the pieces apart to get it out. And we are done. And like I said, I do them. I don't pull all the plugs at once because, yes, it's 4 and 4's on the right, and you'll know 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's just easier so you don't lose track. There's nothing like putting them on wrong and wondering why your bike isn't getting starting right. Very nice. All right, I'm just going to do the rest of these. Plugs are set. All right, there's the plugs, and you can tell this plug is older than the rest, which means it hasn't been replaced in a while. So we've got the little hanging. Like I said, it's really nifty to just get a little hang there. Not putting any strain on that wire. And remember which way it goes in. Remember the left over here on the left, in your cylinder 4 is a pin that you slide that on. You use the radiator hose a little bit here to kind of snug it up, and then okay, that's good. All right, radiator is good. I'm gonna check that coolant reservoir real fast. And we've got some red coolant, so we're gonna pull that out with a handy dandy vacuum pump. This thing's pretty awesome. Put it in. Got another one because this one's starting to, they don't last forever, guys. That's all of it. So coolant is vacuumed out. Now, we top her off, and then we won't start her yet because we still got to do the oil. So, do all that at once. All right, next we're going to do the oil. So, oil's easy. One thing to know about these Yamahas, or any kind of Japanese bike, that if you ever forget how much oil you need to put in, not only do you get your displacement printed on your case, but you also get your mount. And this engine crankcase holds 2,500 milliliters, so about 2.5 quarts. We'll ugga-dugga it off, but we'll hand tighten it on. All right, reverse. And then we'll hand loosen this. Ugh. Yummy! So make sure you take your seal gaskets off, great. And then we're going to put the new oil filter on. Nice and hand tight. So we're going to put 3 quarts in because roughly half a quart in the crankcase here, or half a quart in the oil filter. So. Good. So I'll be using the Rotella T6 synthetic. I use this on all my Japanese bikes. Have never had issues with it. They run great with it. The only thing, I'll be using the quart here to measure it out. This is just an old quart I'm going to use just so I have a measurement. I love that sound. Okay, and the coolest thing about this FZ6, you don't see on a lot of bikes, is it actually has a dipstick. It doesn't use a sight glass. So, let's see how much oil's in it. Going like this. And she's full. A little over, but she'll go down when the oil filter fills. Pretty cool. One thing I do like about this little bike. Wish more bikes had little dipsticks. They're just easier to use. I find them easier to use. Cool. That's good. So, let's clean up this area first. We'll move on to something else. So now we're in here. We got to put the battery on. Got to start it. But first, we're going to take a look at the air box. This is definitely one of those things you should be doing on an annual tune-up or a tune-up. After you do your spark plugs, just make sure your air filter looks good. Looking good. No mouse nest. Throttle bodies look good. Very nice. Take this air filter. It's a little grimy. No big deal. Use a little bit of brake cleaner. Look at all the stuff that's come out. Okay. It's battery time. All right. 10s, JIS, super easy. On that way, you go on that way. Yep, I need this. All right, that goes on like that. And this keeps all of it together. There's that. There's, this goes here. This goes here. Moment of truth. That's all the fuel I've got. Cool. Fuel pump is priming. Well, check engine light has gone off, so it's actually started up a little tough, probably because the fuel pump wasn't completely primed. So you don't want to rev the engine until that blinking light goes off. Bike currently has 18,929 miles, so 19,000. All right, let's make sure she's not leaking oil. No leaking oil. Speedo sensor seems to work, which is good. It's great. This is what I expect from Yamaha. Like, I haven't been ran in 2 years. But you're going to take good care of me, and I'm going to take good care of you. That's Yamaha. That's what Yamaha does for you. That's why I can't say it stress enough, guys. There's something to be said about this motor company, and there's a reason why they are #1 in reliability. This motorcycle hasn't ran in 2 years, and just doing some fluids, plugs, coolant, new gas, clean the air filter. After the fuel system was primed, she's back to life. Yep, she's warm. She sounds good. No issues. All right, all right. Needed this after this day. All right, so maintenance is done. That's an annual maintenance. Super easy. This bike, very easy to work on. It's a very forgiving motorcycle to work on. And yeah, man, like I said, between my buddies, I've seen and helped work on 140,000 miles worth of miles on these bikes. And they've kept their bikes running. I've helped them through all this. So going through this is just kind of just practice right at this moment in time. I've done basically everything on this bike I've done so far in some capacity on my buddy's bikes, both of which have combined 140,000 miles. Not sure how many kilometers that is. I think it's like, I don't know, like 200 something thousand kilometers. It's Yamaha, really easy to work on, really easy to navigate through. So you got your radiators done. I was a little unimpressed to see that there was some coolant in there that I would not have put in there. You're supposed to use like the green spec, you know, plain Jane coolant. That wasn't in there, so I've got the coolant to spec in there now. Did an engine oil swap. That looked good. The oil looked good. I don't think it's been ran with that much oil, or like with that oil for that long. Changed the oil filter out as well. It was a K&N oil filter, and guys, personal recommendation: if you're going to get an oil filter, do not get K&N oil filters. They tend to degrade. When I did all the service for my Bonneville, I bought an K&N oil filter once. They told me to get rid of it immediately and go with the Triumph brand, and that's what we're doing. So this is just a high flow, generic, high flow TF, I can't remember the number. That's the number. Oil filter, you know, like $11 filter, way better than K&N. It's a better quality filter. Just spend a little, you know, don't get the K&N. They're just, the quality is just gone to absolute hell with them, and I just don't trust that anymore. Also did the spark plugs. Those were really bad. And cylinder one looked like it's never been done because it had a lot of corrosion and rust. The other ones looked like they were done more recently, but they were still kind of darkish and nasty in color, probably because the bike was being ran on really old gas before I got my hands on it. And now that, and it was hooked up to a charger, who knows how it was running. Now it's got its own battery, fresh battery, runs, starts. Check engine light is not on, no problems. Speedometer sensor looks like it's working great. I checked the air filter, cleaned it out. It wasn't that bad, so I just did a quick cleaning. I'm gonna run that air filter this year. You know, you can get a K&N, but I'm not a huge fan of the K&Ns on these bikes. They just don't really need them. These bikes pretty much come from the factory pretty much all out. Like, they're as much power you're really going to get out of them. You can get a few more horsepower by putting a slip-on on, but all in all, it's all in good shape. So, very excited. Glad I had a productive day. So, this really kind of sums up the part 4 of the rebuild here. Got to figure out what I'm going to do next. Probably going to work on some of the electronics next. Or maybe I'll do the brakes. The brake fluids need to be replaced. They're really bad. It was under the seat, and I looked at the rear brake fluid. It was dark, black, bad. So I'll do the rear brake fluid and the front brake fluid. I'll do a hydraulic brake bleed. Show you guys how to do that. Very easy, very simple. See how it goes. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, comments, likes, or dislikes, put them in the comment section below. Love having conversations with people about what they found useful or what people found not useful or didn't really agree with. I'd love to talk it out, so put it in the comment section below. And yeah, we will keep rolling on. Rolling on. So, and also, folks, we are now in the middle of the holiday season, so I want to wish you all happy holidays. I don't know what your beliefs are or how you celebrate the holidays in your country or in your region or in your town, state, or whatever. But I want you all to know that I really appreciate all you guys. I hope you have a safe, great, festive, and wholesome holiday season, despite this whole pandemic bull. Alright, that's my 2 cents. I'll see you on the road. Keep the shiny side up. Best.